from the top. Hey, good day once again, and welcome to the fourth episode of Crazy Talks with Wise People. Our episode for today is entitled Stand in Your Power. Our guest for today will share his ideas on how we can stand by the power that is endowed within us. Well, what is it? Well, our guest for today is going to enlighten us about how we can make our lives better by practicing how to become a more powerful person. Well, his idea is for us to challenge us to stand outside of the box, you know, instead of us just practicing something that we learned from school, that grandma told us, that grandpa told us, that the television tell us, and the church told us. But then, just a disclaimer, this person has a very loving heart. He doesn't want us to rebel. He doesn't want street parliamentarism. He is a very decent person. That's why we love him. We hosted him for a dinner, a very, very ordinary, simple dinner, but he was very humble to eat the food that we offered him. And that's why we love him. And we believe in him. Or else, this channel is a very neutral channel. It's apolitical, nothing about politics. It's just about empowering people. So today's guest is a lecturer and a consultant about a topic that others might find crazy. But I encourage you to listen to him because the first time I sat in his lectures, I just found it like cool, weird, crazy, crazy, crazy. But after I spoke with him, one of those, during one of those breaks, I went to him and I told him, like, you know what? I've learned something from Dr. Miles Monroe, that the late Dr. Miles Monroe had propagated that we shouldn't be a slave to anyone. Of course, we have to be decent and in obedience to the law of the land, law of the universe, and so on. But you see, I told him we are not victims of circumstances because we are divine and we are endowed with divine spirit within us. And therefore, we are powerful and we embrace each other. And he said, oh, you're my sister. And that's how we became. And that's how I believed in him. And of course, my partner also believes in him. And that's why he's here with us. So we are very, very, very blessed and honored that Andy Barlow, in spite of his very busy schedule, he took time out, sat down here, and enlightened us about this crazy thing that he believes in. Crazy Talks with Wise People. Let's all welcome Andy Barlow.
Thank you. Thank you very much for a wonderful intro. Very humble. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So, would you like to introduce myself to everyone?
Yes, please.
So good day, everybody. My name is obviously Andy Barlow. Thank you very much for the beautiful introduction. It was a pure honor and a pleasure to meet you guys for that talk in Marlborough. Beautiful. Thank you. Myself, what can I say about myself? I was born. I came into the world, but as things got on, I was classed as the black sheep of the family. I always knew things were slightly not right, but I couldn't always put my finger on it. I think 9/11 was the one that woke me up completely because I always knew things weren't quite right. And then working in the aviation industry, you suddenly realise a plane cannot go through a building like that. So that's when I started realising that a lot of this was fiction. A lot of it was designed to, for want of a better word, indoctrinate as to what they want you to believe. So I carried on throughout my life. Obviously, I was married, and then 2020 was the year when everything changed. Obviously, 2019 they started saying there's a pandemic. I instantly said no, there isn't. It didn't feel right. Looked at everything, and then I walked away from my marriage after 33 years. Felt it wasn't right, and then I went down the rabbit holes of COVID. got to the point in, I mean, I think I told you, both of you, that got to the point in August 2020, I tried to take my own life because I was getting to so dark and so deep with everything that was going on. I couldn't see no way out of it, but Spirit said no, they wouldn't let me go. A friend of mine phoned me and saved my life, so it was meant to be. And so 2020, 2021 was the most amazing years of my life. 2021, I actually left my job after taking some medicine, which made me realize that there is more to life than being a debt slave, which is basically where we are. So I went down that road. But before that, I was working with common law with Article 61 Magna Carta, which didn't work. It's never going to work. So it was always just an agreement between the barons and King John. But commerce law is where everything sits. So we are sitting inside their system they've created, and we now have to figure out a way of navigating our vessel through their choppy waters and uncharted waters sometimes. It is very difficult, but you can do it.
Right. Okay. In your website, on your website, I visited your website, and there was this very intriguing question. The first question on your website is, are you sovereign or Suveran? Suveran.
Yes. So sovereign, I mean, the thing at the end of the day, we've got to understand that man created words. So does the words actually mean anything? But if you go through etymology and you go through Black's Law Dictionary, you'll get to see what they mean the words. Suveran is a word that was hidden from us for many, many hundreds of years. It's a French word which means overlord. Sovereign means an underling.
Overall.
Overlord. So basically,
the Lord. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas
like
the sovereign is
king,
basically an underling.
Like a king, like a.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But a sovereign is what we class as an underling.
Look at my mug. It says Her Royal Highness with a crown.
Very good.
So that is, I mean, there's actually a my background is Christianity, and we were told that there is a kingdom in heaven, and Jesus is my king, and if he lives in me, then I am a queen. I am Her Royal Highness. Yeah. I am Her Royal Highness. Is it crazy?
Yeah, well, no, it's not. The kingdom the kingdom is in here. It's your pineal gland. That's where the kingdom is where it originally came from. Is within you. God sits within you. Jesus sits within you. Whatever. And I always say you got to look at the words we use. Asking is a word over. So I'm asking a question, but you're as king. So you're as a king talking to people. So you are your own king and queen. No one has authority over you.
I am. All right. I'm Suveran.
Exactly. We are divine beings, and no one has authority over us.
All right. I'm Suveran. But how do we apply our being sovereign in our personal lives? Because people say, okay, I know, I'm sovereign, I'm the Lord of my life, I'm accountable for my life, but you see their lives defeated. So how can we apply sovereignty? Is there a word like sovereignty in our personal lives?
It all starts from within here. It all starts with you. It's what you believe you are and how powerful you can be. It's taken me a long time to understand this. People do paperwork. They say, we're sending paperwork to the government, to the Queen, saying, we're sovereign. We want to be sovereign. Well, you are sovereign. You were born sovereign or sovereign. You have dominion. We were given this earth in trust. We are here to protect it. We are here to look after it. So what happened was, and I'll just take it back a little bit. What happened was, we were created by God, nature, universe, whichever your religious beliefs are. And that your creator created man and woman. Now, man and woman has dominion and authority on themselves only.
Of course, yes.
Man and woman then went and created something stupid. They went and created government. And government is two words, which means control the mind. Government then went and created persons. So they created a fiction. They created a dead entity, a corporation, which therefore creates two realms. So you've got the private, which is living men and women, who have authority on themselves, and then you have public, which is persons, which have benefits and privileges but they don't have rights. We have inalienable rights as men and women
Of course,
that
yeah,
cannot be
correct.
taken away from us, but we
Mhm.
give away to the public by talking. So
All right.
it starts with
Oh,
you.
okay. My question is, you know, there are divine laws, there are laws of the land, and our laws of the land are into many, you know, they are arranged into hierarchies, right?
Yeah.
And so, Andy, what if the law of the land conflicts with the divine law?
To be honest, I only follow natural law. I only follow God's law. Cause no harm, cause no loss, love thy neighbor, love thy creator. That's the only laws as men and women we should be following.
Mhm.
Law of the land, give me an example if you can.
Okay. For example, abortion.
That's a difficult subject. I personally disagree with that, because at the end of the day, that's a construct that I believe they created to, this is my personal opinion, to genocide life before it even starts. So that's personally my opinion. I understand there are medical needs for abortion sometimes, but that's down to the individual's choice. I can't really comment and say that's wrong or that's right. I just don't personally believe it is right.
Yeah.
I don't think I think it's wrong.
Or how about, let's say, you see, the divine law talks about forgiveness. So what if you're, for example, you were apprehended for speed, for overspeeding, and the police officer will not forgive you. It was just a first offense, and they will already confiscate your license and stuff, or they will fine you. So the sovereign law says that, I mean, no, the divine law stipulates that we forgive people 77 times 77 times. But, you know, the law of the land doesn't forgive you. So how do you haggle with that?
I've been in that situation. It's one of the things. Things at the end of the day, we've got the mindset is we are men and women. When they pull you over in a car, they're talking to your legal name. They're not talking to you as a man or woman. And but they want to create contract with you by you speaking your legal name, Andrew Sean Barlow, which is my birth certificate name. I never give my name, so I always hold position by answering questions with questions. Example: when I was coming down the M6 quite a few months back, I was pulled over for speeding. Police officer gets out, knocks on the window, says, "You were speeding." My first question was, "Can you prove it?" He said, "Well, I don't have to." I said, "Well, yes, you do, because the maxim in law states, he who makes a claim bears the burden of proof." I said, "So you've made a claim that I, as a living man, was speeding." I said, "Can you show me the evidence?" And he got to the point where he was saying, "No, I'm not showing you." So I said, "Okay, can you please show me some form of identification?" And he said, "Well, I'm a police officer." I said, "Well, no, you're not." He said, "Well, I'm dressed like one." I said, "Well, dressed like one is not one." I said, "So again, for the second time, please show me your identification." I said, "I need to verify that you are who you say you are." And he wouldn't. And he got to the third time I asked him, I said, "Okay, fine. Are you refusing to show me your identification?" He said, "Yes, I'm refusing." At that point, I've got him in contract. So I dialed 999 and I called the police. So there's a police car and what looked like a police officer stood next to me. And then another unit came up and they said, "What's going on?" So he refused to identify. And I've actually got it on video. He actually saying refusing. They said, "We apologize for the inconvenience, please carry on." But as I left, I said to the police officer, I said, I know you're only doing your job, but I forgive you for what you've done." I said, "You know no better." I said, "I'd like to educate you." We got into a conversation. I did educate him. But there have been times when I've been arrested. So they said, "No, we're arresting you." So I basically told them, "Thank you very much for the offer. I accept under duress." And that word is under two words, under duress, gets you out a lot of trouble because that's a legal term. So when you go to the police station, whatever, and they say, "What's happening?" And they said, "Well, we arrested him, but he said it's under duress." And you see the desk sergeant go, "Okay." But you can start, because you're doing that, remember, this is not arresting the man or woman, they're arresting the corporation, they're arresting the business they're after. They want the money. So you always do anything under duress, and you start getting names and numbers, and you can then start invoicing them. So you can invoice the individual police officers once you've got their names and badge numbers for unlawful kidnap, assault and battery.
Unlawful kidnap.
Yeah, because it is. Unless there's a crime being committed, and for a crime to be committed, there must be a victim. There is no crime, so it's kidnap. And if you put handcuffs on someone, that is classed as assault and battery. Even if they threaten to arrest you. Well, I'm going to arrest you. Is that a threat? Yes, it is a threat. Okay, that is classed under law as assault. Just knowing how to answer questions with questions and holding your position. And I've had multiple, if it sounds wrong, but I've had multiple, not confrontations, talks with police, because I actually go looking for them. And out of the 9 times, only 8 out of 9 times, they've never got my name.
Andy, you're very smart. How do you position against authority in a lawful way? Because I think you positioned yourself in a very smart manner when you were apprehended for overspeeding. But how can you think of those laws and terminologies and come face to face with authority without being angry and with restraint and dignity, and yet very lawful? How did you learn this?
Okay. the way I handle it is I may not have respect for a uniform. So the police uniform I have no respect for after what they're doing. But I have respect and kindness and dignity towards the men and women in the uniform. So I always treat them as an equal. So they are men and women who are doing what they're paid to do. And if I show them love and respect and kindness, you're always going to get a better outcome. So it's all about knowing who you're talking to and realizing they have no authority over you unless you give it away to them. So it's all of
they have no authority over you unless you give it away. That's profound. I mean,
so in a nutshell,
because like when people face authorities, they go like, oh my goodness, a police person, like oh my god. So how do you conduct yourself, and what how did you train yourself to be very confident in facing the authority? Because this is something, Andy, this is not alien. What you're saying is not alien. I'm sure that there are a lot of people all over the world who still have this kind of like fear when they see soldiers, people in uniform. Automatically there's fear, like okay, but how can you remove that fear, and how can you conduct yourself against any unlawful authority?
It's a question of, again, it's down to knowing who thyself is. If you know who you are and the fact you have power and you have authority on you, but no one has authority over what you give away, it's down to the questioning. So I mean, where I live in Ludgershall, obviously it's an army barracks. And I've had conversations with the squaddies, especially at the petrol stations, just literally to try and not provoke them, but poke the bear, for want of a better reason, see what response I get. And but talking to them as a living man and woman, not as the corporation that they represent, because the army, navy, police, and all that, they're all businesses. And these are just agents of the government. So they're government agents trying to take money away from you. So like in the Matrix with Agent Smith, that's exactly what they're telling you. These agents are out there. So you can always ask those question. You can always say to the police officer, can you please tell me what authority you have over me? And they won't, invariably, they won't be able to answer it. And they say, well, I'm stopping for speeding. Okay, but that's colour of law. That's not a law. That's an act, statute, legislation which affects businesses. I said, but doesn't affect living men and women. So again, can you please show me what authority you have over me as a living man? And they,
very smart.
It's about realizing that they are men and women, but they don't understand because they've been indoctrinated through the schooling system and through what their job entails to just get money. They think issuing a parking fine is telling someone, speeding fine, is basically saying to someone, you've been a naughty boy, don't do it. And that's it. They treat us as children. They treat us as minors, and children's another statutory term. They treat us as children for the rest of our lives until we claim back our authority. So the way I liken it is this: when you're born, you're given unalienable rights. You have the right to travel freely, etc., which cannot be taken away unless you're given. But as we grow older, they created things like bank accounts, passports, driver's licenses. All these things are you have to apply for. You have to apply for a bank account. You have to apply for a passport. Well, only slaves beg, and that's what apply means, to beg to have something. So in the private, we have our rights, and in the public, we have benefits and privileges. So you have passports, bank accounts, driver's license, ratepayers, taxpayers, mortgages. These are all benefits and privileges as long as you play in their toy box. So they've taken all your toys away from you through the indoctrination, through the working debt slaves, etc. But it's now time to take back your toys and put them back in your box.
Oh,
So
yeah,
by doing that,
I agree, yeah.
you can do this. I'm doing it on a daily basis. I live my life with love, kindness, dignity, and respect to everyone. No matter what they do to me, I'll always send love back to them. I've never been in confrontation where it's violence or anything like that, because at the end of the day, there's no need for violence anyway. But like I say, I just live my life the way I want to live it, knowing the fact that I am my own authority. And yes, if I harm someone or cause loss to someone, then I will face punishment, because that goes against my own laws.
Yeah, correct. Like nobody's above the law, not even the authority, not even us. But I think we need to distinguish between national law or a local law. I don't know how you call it here, but in some other countries they call it, like, there's what you call criminal law, and there's what you call like just an ordinance. It's a city kind of law, and then there's criminal law, and there's social law, and so what is the hierarchy of laws here in Great Britain?
So all laws, especially on the land, because we're under maritime law, but a lot of laws all go around causing no harm, no loss, no fraud, no foul, etc. And those are all written into every law that you see. So if you look at the list of crimes that you can be done against on the police website, I think it's 147 different crimes. Now, of those 147, there's only 5, I believe, that can actually affect you as a living man or woman, because you've caused harm, loss, murder, whatever. So those you'd be punished for. Everything else is called a statute of law or colour of law. So they only apply to businesses or corporations. They only apply to the person. So when they say, "Oh, it's a law, you have to wear a mask," show me the law. Where is the law? There is no law. It's an act, statute,
it is an ordinance, right?
Exactly, and those can only affect businesses. So they govern the business. So if you agree to that, okay, I'll put a mask on. Then you've contracted. Now you're in their jurisdiction. So it's a question of, you've got to understand the mindset. So, okay, let's put it this way. There's 4 ways you can handle their offers. Everything's an offer. Okay, so you need to wear a mask. You were speeding. That's an offer. So you got to handle it with a negotiation. 2 ways of honourable. So the honourable one is, I was caught speeding. I'm happy. You'll take the punishment for it. You contract. The second one is where we need to be. It's what they call conditional acceptance or negotiation. So I accept what you're saying. I'm not saying no, but I need a list of answers, please, to what I'm about to ask you. And if they can't answer you, there's no contract.
Very wise.
Very wise. The third one is where a lot of people go, and I've been in a lot of places where they go silent. They say, "Oh, you have your right to remain silent." Well, of course you do. But why do they want you to stay silent? Because if you stay silent, you don't have a voice.
Yes.
So they will speak for you. So you have to have your voice. So never be silent in anything. If you're going to say something, I thank you for your offer. I will now stay silent and say when I feel speaking. The fourth one is saying no, I don't agree. I'm sorry, I'm not having it. That's contract agreement as well. So number 2, conditional acceptance, is where you need to be in everything you do in your life. Thank you very much for the offer. So, for instance, I say, I've got my mobile phone here. If you want to sell it to you for £1,000, you could turn around and say, "Well, I like that phone, but I'll give you 800. That's negotiation or contract. Same as when you buy a house, you negotiate, you barter, and that's what we have to do in our daily life. Everything that comes at you is an offer. and it's all in plain
Ah, brilliant.
sight. It's
Actually, Andy,
mind
I
blowing
have
to a lot
a
of
lot
people.
of questions, and I think, a lot of our viewers would request for a part two, because this is only like maybe 1% of what you can share with us. Now, one thing that while I was listening to you, I kind of agreed, because um, if law is absolute, how come we need lawyers to defend us? Because
Well,
if
lawyers
there's
are
such a law,
salespeople.
then we can just, we can stand and, maybe there's a judge who will say like, well, this is the law and you broke it. How come there are lawyers who defend you and the other person? And how come there's battle in court about law and what all this? So I was thinking like maybe law is not, law of the land is not absolute. The divine law is absolute. Am I right, Andy?
Correct. If you
Mhm.
go into a court, you're going into a business. I mean,
Business.
everywhere, if you go into court, the judge wears black, okay? And they
Okay.
say all rise. So when the judge walks in, you stand up. So what he's saying, when he says all rise, he's raising the dead. So he can then, he can condition, he can join with you. If you go into court, you're going into their jurisdiction, and they've won already. They can change jurisdiction. The first one you walk into when you go into court is common law. And if you go in there saying, I'm a sovereign man, look, here's my birth certificate, that's the name you're after,
Mm.
the judge will get up and walk out. Now, he may just change his pen, he may change a sock, or tie his shoes a different way, but all he's done there is he's changed jurisdiction. And you won't know that unless you know how to play the game, and it is a game. So he'll walk in, he's suddenly changed it to maritime law, which basically means the acts, statutes, and legislations now affect that jurisdiction. And he may change it to crown law, equity law. These are all their games they play. But as long as you've done no harm, no loss, no foul, etc., love thy neighbour, love thy creator, you should never ever set foot in them, because barristers and solicitors are salespeople. They're there to make money. If a barrister or a solicitor is representing you, he's actually representing you. He's presenting you again to make money. It's all money dictated. And there's a good film to understand this more, was The Wizard of Oz, back in 1937, 1938, which tells everybody in plain sight what they do. So you've got the straw man, which is your birth certificate, you've got the tin man, your tax identification number, you've got the cowardly lion, which is us because we won't stand up, you've got the fraud behind the veil, follow the yellow brick road, the money, the flying monkeys were barristers and solicitors earning money for their master, and the wicked witch was representing the bankers of the New World Order. That is all in that film that Frank L. Baum wrote. And when you look at the deciphering he did of that movie, you sit there and you go, your jaw drops open, you think, wow, everything is in plain sight for us to understand.
Well, time flies actually when you're speaking with a very sensible person. We only have 2 minutes left.
No
So
worries.
I just like you to give some people some parting words, please, Andy.
If I can give some parting words, it'll be this: learn and look inside yourself. Understand who you are. Understand that no one has authority over you as a living man or woman. Understand that when you get a bill through the door, that's not directed at you individually, it's directed at the person, it's directed at your corporation, and you can deal with these as a business side by side. For me, it's a question of, it's taken me a long time to start understanding who I am, and if I can help others to empower themselves to do this process, and it is a process, and learn how to love themselves, know thyself, and take them things forward, this world would be so much better place. It really would, because we bring ourselves out of their control and we make our lives 100 times better.
Thank you so much. It has really been a wonderful time, 30 minutes
Thank
with
you.
you today. And I look forward to guesting you again here, or guesting you at home.
God bless you. Thank you.
Or again, and have this exchange of ideas. And friends, if you would like yourselves to be empowered, to be trained, and to learn about your power in terms of dealing with authorities and lawfulness, sometimes we're not saying that our politicians are unlawful, but sometimes, sometimes law enforcement authorities may make some mistakes, or maybe they're not just in the mood. So you just need to stand up for yourself. And if you would like to be trained on how to be brave enough, but at the same time decent enough, please contact Andy Barlow. Um, he has a website, and I'm going to write the website down below, and kindly click on that, and you will be able to email him, contact him, or if not, you can call me up and I will connect you with Andy Barlow. I highly recommend him. I'm very picky about people because I've got this discernment. When I speak with people, I will be able to discern who is real, who is not, and who am I going to believe in and who I'm not going to. And in this wide world of connectivity, I really don't run after people. If I don't like a person, I just block him off or her off. But with Andy, I believe him and I endorse him. And please, I'm listening to him right now. I'm listening to him, and I've learned a lot for 30 minutes. And maybe invite you again in my show or at home. Thank you so much, Andy. And friends, thank you for watching us. And I hope that Crazy Talks with Wise People had enlightened you more and had enriched your life. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you for inviting me. Bless you.
Pleasure.